What if a single decision could tip the scales of power, sending shockwaves across entire continents? That moment may have just arrived. In a move that has caught the international community off guard, China has reportedly agreed to a major proposal from Iran. But what exactly is this proposal? And more importantly, what does it mean for the rest of the world? This isn't just a story about two nations. It's about the future of global trade, energy dynamics, and geopolitical stability. Stay with us, because in this video, we're unpacking everything you need to know about this potentially world-altering agreement. Trust us, you don't want to miss this. To fully grasp the significance of China's decision, we first need to understand what the offer entails. While many of the finer details remain wrapped in diplomatic ambiguity, the foundation is widely believed to be the comprehensive strategic partnership, often referred to as the 25-year agreement between China and Iran. Now, this isn't something entirely new. Talks have been in motion for years, but recent developments signal a serious acceleration and a deeper commitment than ever before. Let's rewind for a moment. Around 2019, rumors started to swirl about a long-term pact between Beijing and Tehran, especially as both countries faced growing pressure from the West. For Iran, crippled by heavy economic sanctions from the United States, China suddenly looked like a vital lifeline, a global superpower willing to go against Western pressure and offer crucial economic and political support. For China, Iran is honestly much more than just another partner. It's actually a strategic keystone, an essential part of the Belt and Road Initiative, a major energy supplier, and a geopolitical ally in challenging the current US-led global order. At the core of this 25-year agreement is a sweeping economic package. In return for a steady and discounted supply of Iranian oil, China has pledged to invest heavily in Iranian infrastructure, spanning energy, transportation, telecoms, and technology. We're really talking about potentially hundreds of billions of dollars in investment over the next 2.5 decades. Iran sits on the second-largest natural gas reserves and the fourth-largest oil reserves on the planet. For China, the world's biggest energy consumer, locking in long-term energy supplies at steady prices is more than just smart. It's strategic necessity. This agreement could drastically cut China's dependence on oil that flows through risky maritime choke points like the Strait of Hormuz, and that's only part of the story. Iran also serves as a critical land bridge in China's Belt and Road Initiative, connecting Asia to Europe. Chinese investment in Iranian roads, rails, and ports will not only streamline trade and slash shipping times, but it also strengthens China's foothold in Eurasian commerce. Meanwhile, sanctions have decimated Iran's economy, especially its oil exports, and cut it off from much of the global financial system. With China stepping in to buy oil and inject capital, Iran may finally get the economic breathing room it desperately needs. The partnership reportedly includes technology transfer provisions in cutting-edge sectors like fifth-generation networks and artificial intelligence, which could help Iran leapfrog into the digital future and lessen its dependence on Western tech. While the full scope of the agreement remains classified, the overarching intent is unmistakable, a far-reaching, long-term partnership designed to significantly benefit both nations. But that brings us to the bigger question: why now? What's driving China to deepen its commitment to Iran at this particular moment? Several converging forces are likely shaping Beijing's thinking. This isn't happening in isolation. It's a complex web of economic interests, strategic ambitions, and a rapidly evolving global environment. First, the escalating standoff with the United States is a major factor. In recent years, the US-China relationship has taken a steep dive, covering trade, technology, Taiwan, and human rights. In this climate of heightened rivalry, China is actively seeking out allies and long-term partnerships to push back against US influence. Strengthening ties with Iran isn't just an energy or trade play. It's a clear challenge to US dominance in the Middle East. Together, the two nations form a powerful front resisting Western pressure. Secondly, the war in Ukraine has only made global geopolitics messier and more uncertain. The conflict in Ukraine has exposed deep vulnerabilities in the current global order and, honestly, sped up the shift toward a multipolar world. It has also brought energy security into sharp focus, revealing the dangers of depending too heavily on any single supplier. Observing how the West responded to Russia, China is likely moving to diversify its energy partners and strengthen relationships with countries outside the Western sphere of influence. Another major driver? Well, it's China's own economic ambitions. The Belt and Road Initiative remains central to Beijing's strategy for global connectivity and long-term economic leadership, and Iran, due to its geographic location, is a vital piece in that puzzle. Investing in Iranian infrastructure doesn't just lock in energy access, it also supports trade development and expands China's influence across the broader Eurasian region. And as China's economy continues to expand, so will its demand for energy, making long-term energy security not just a priority, but a necessity. Meanwhile, Iran's shifting geopolitical stance is also playing a role. With mounting pressure from the West, Iran has been actively looking to deepen ties with non-Western powers, especially China and Russia. The fact that Iran is offering favorable terms in this 25-year deal reflects just how eager it is to secure a powerful strategic partner and economic safety net. So China sees the opening, and it's capitalizing on it to entrench itself deeper into the Middle East, which, as we know, is a region of immense strategic importance. In short, China's decision to accept Iran's offer isn't random. It's actually a calculated, strategic move shaped by a combination of factors: global power competition, energy needs, economic goals, and, honestly, a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. But that raises a critical question. What happens next? What are the ripple effects, both immediate and long-term, of this bold realignment? That's exactly what we're diving into now. China's growing alliance with Iran isn't just a bilateral deal, it's a geopolitical earthquake. And honestly, the aftershocks are already starting to spread. Reactions from key global players are beginning to take shape, and the long-term implications could, well, really reshape global dynamics. The United States, unsurprisingly, is likely the most alarmed. Washington has spent decades trying to isolate Iran economically and diplomatically, especially to halt its nuclear ambitions. A deepening partnership with China directly undermines those efforts. It gives Iran economic breathing room and political leverage, weakening the impact of U.S. sanctions. It also bolsters a key U.S. rival in a region where the United States has historically maintained a strong foothold. Expect sharp condemnations from Washington, and likely an escalation in diplomatic pressure on China, which could even include additional sanctions or efforts to isolate Beijing diplomatically. European nations are also likely to respond with concern. While several European countries have tried to keep the Iran nuclear deal, or JCPOA, alive, this stronger China-Iran alliance complicates that mission. It strengthens Iran's negotiating position and may reduce its motivation to compromise on sensitive nuclear issues. At the same time, Europe is increasingly wary of China's expanding global influence, and this development may be viewed as yet another challenge to the Western-led order. We can expect measured, cautious statements from European leaders, likely calling for restraint and diplomacy, but also voicing concern over what this means for regional stability. In the Middle East, reactions will vary. Saudi Arabia and Israel, both longtime rivals of Iran and close U.S. allies, will likely view this with alarm. A strengthened Iran, now backed by China, could embolden Tehran's regional ambitions, adding fuel to already tense dynamics in the region. These countries may respond by tightening security ties with the United States, or even exploring new defense partnerships to counterbalance the emerging China-Iran axis. On the other hand, some regional players may see opportunity. Countries that are already working to diversify their international partnerships, especially those looking to reduce dependence on the U.S., might welcome this shift. It could present new paths for economic collaboration or strategic alignment. Russia, for example, is almost certain to support the growing China-Iran bond. It fits neatly into Moscow's broader strategy to push back against U.S. influence and promote a multipolar global system. Turkey and other influential Middle Eastern nations may also see this development as a chance to engage in new regional initiatives, increasing their relevance by working with both China and Iran.